Welcome to the Book of Hosea. We just finished the eschatological timeline, and I was just thinking how some of the things that concern the eschatological timeline were written by Moses 3,500 years ago. And it got me to thinking about after the eschatological timeline of going out for thousands of years, because we know the tribulation, and then the 1,000-year reign, and then the last 8 or 9 chapters of the book of Ezekiel of a future city in Israel. Could be thousands of years in the future, and somehow somebody may see this video or these videos. This is the 2023. So it could be 3023 or 4023, and that they would be somehow seeing this. Maybe the Word of God will be difficult to find because of the tribulation. Whichever way it happens, I was just thinking about that, and mainly because of this chapter having an eschatological portent features throughout the book because of the horrible situation at the time of Hosea, but what God had planned in the future was not horrible. Some of it was horrible, but some of it was mercy. And so we'll go now into this chapter, and I'll read a little in the Greek, then we'll go through the chapter. Logos Kyriou os aganithi pros osie, ton tu veiri en imeres oziu, ke Joatham, ke Ahaz, ke Ezekiu, vasileon Iuda, ke en imeres Irovoam, iu Ioas, vasileos tu Israel. The word of the Lord which came to Hosea, the son of Beri in the days of, and these are the kings of Judah, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, kings of Judah. And in the days of Irovoam, Jeroboam, that would be Jeroboam the second, son of Joash, he was the king of Israel. Now we also have during this period of time 2 other prophets that wrote books, and that was Micah and Amos, which we will get into next. In verse 2, it continues, Archi, Logu Kyriou, in Hosea, the beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. Where do we see this Archi, Logu Kyriou? Well, John 1:1, in Archi, in o Logos, ke o Logos, in proston theon, ke theos in o Logos. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Archi, and also the Archi appears in the very beginning of the book of the Bible. In the beginning, in Archi, right here, this word. The logo is Jesus. So I see this because it says that the Word was God, and the Word of God in the beginning of the Word of the Lord by Hosea ties in to the things of Jesus. Basically, I think it's what it's referring to here. And the Lord said to Hosea, proceed, take to yourself a wife of harlotry, a prostitute, and children, and have children of a prostitute. For by fornicating, the land shall fornicate from going after the Lord. And the land isn't fornicating, it's a figure of speech for the people of the land are going away from God, as the prostitute is gone away from what she should be doing, having a husband and so forth, and instead prostituting herself and going after men for their money. And Hosea, went and took Gomer, the daughter of Divlaim, and she conceived and bore to him a son. And the Lord said to him, to Hosea, call his name Jezreel, Jezreel in the English, for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel on the house of Judah, and I will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel. Now here we get the first eschatological portent as far as I see. Jezreel, as we see a little bit later, here is the valley of Jezreel. It's a portent of Armageddon, and that is something that's far in the future. I don't know how far in the future, but God knows, and this person called Jezreel, it means that which God planted. So God planted Jezreel. He planted Israel and became Judah and Israel, two kingdoms divided, but yet not always so. And yet it continues, for yet a little while I will avenge the blood of Jezreel on the house of Judah. And that would be Armageddon. I will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel, which happened 40 years after this writing of Hosea. Now in this, and I will, it continues in 5, and it will be in that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. The valley of Jezreel runs, let's go to a map here, goes up here from Mount Carmel on down, over through Mount Gilboa, through Megiddo, and so forth. Up here north is Mount Meron, which I believe is where the temple will be built, the city of God, that the water goes into the Lake of Galilee. Couldn't possibly be Jerusalem. So this is where Jezreel, and it's tied into Megiddo and the Armageddon in the book of Revelation. So whenever we see Jezreel, think of Armageddon, a portent of that. Now, in this valley of Jezreel, other things happen early on. Deborah and Barak in Judges 4 had a battle in Jezreel. The Gideon and the Midianites fought. That was in Judges 6:3. King Saul was later defeated by the Philistines on Mount Gilboa, I believe, in 1 Samuel 29. And King Josiah, much later, was defeated by the Egyptians when they were going up to fight in Carchemish, fight the Assyrians and Nebuchadnezzar. And that's in 2 Kings 23:29. Jezreel was also the valley of Ahab and Jezebel, where Naboth had his vineyard, and the blood of Jezebel was poured out there. But Israel is predicted to cease, which it did, like I said, in 40 years later, because of its idolatry of worshiping the golden calf and not allowing the people to go to the temple in Jerusalem. Now, Israel is an interesting name because basically it was Jacob who was renamed Israel after he fought with Jehovah, he fought with Yahweh, and renamed Israel, and the people became the children of Israel, and then the breakup of the kingdom, Israel became the 10 nations on the top of the area of Israel, and then the bottom, Benjamin and Judah, became Judah. And then that went on until the end of the Kings. And then Israel became a country again with Herod and Jesus. Then for 2,000 years it was laid dormant as far as the Jews were concerned. In 1948, the Jews returned and it became Israel again. Now, how far in the future will Israel be? It's hard to say. It could last for a long time, or it could cease. Depends on the circumstances, what's going on now with the Muslim nations around it, and God's plan. And then in verse 6, it continues, and she, Gomer, conceived again and bore a daughter. And he said to him, call the name of her not being shown mercy. Now, why it was a daughter instead of a man, the feminine, I'm not exactly sure. It'd be something to study. But that was the second child of Gomer, a daughter not being shown mercy, for in no way shall I proceed still to show mercy on the house of Israel. So the daughter is tied into Israel, the female. But by resisting, I will resist them. And like I said, 40 years later, Israel ceased to exist. In verse 7, but the sons of Judah I will show mercy and will deliver them by the Lord their God. But I will not deliver them by bow, nor by broadsword, nor by battle, nor by horses, nor by horsemen. Now, how could that be? Well, I believe that's in the person of Jesus Christ, because it says deliver, and the King James has save. I don't use the word save, I use the word deliver because it's an ongoing process. And Jesus is the one delivering. And so this, I believe, in Judah, Jesus comes through Jacob. He comes through the tribe of Judah. And so this would be a portent of Jesus, portent of the future at this time, at the time of Jesus in our past. In verse 8, and she, Gomer, weaned, the daughter not being shown mercy, and Gomer conceived and bore a son. And now a son, the third child, and he said, call his name, not my people, for you are not my people, and I am not yours. Now, we see later here this Judah is tied into this, but the second son, before I go any further, at the end of this here verse is where the legacy video that I earlier did on Hosea, which is a 640-480 resolution without my video, my picture on it. It ends here abruptly. I don't know why. So from 10 on, is you can see it, you wouldn't find it in the legacy video. And so not my people, you are not my people, and I am not of yours. And 10, it continues, and shall be the number of the people, the sons of Israel, as the sand of the sea, in which shall not be measured out, nor shall be counted out. Now, Israel didn't really fit into this scenario, and it still hasn't. I can't say that's that big of a people, so this to me is a portent of the future. And the next part of this verse, even another different portent, it says, and it will be in the place of which it was said to them, you are not my people, they shall be called sons of the living God. And we see that in the book of Romans 9:22, it begins where Paul says, but if God, wanting to demonstrate the wrath against Israel and make known his might, he bore with much leniency on vessels of wrath, being ready for destruction, Israel, and that he should make known the riches of his glory upon vessels of mercy, which he prepared beforehand for glory. So God had wrath, one's for wrath, one's for mercy or glory. And that's the one I want to be part of, whom also he called us, us being the believers, not only from out of Jews, but also from out of nations, which I am, as also in Hosea, he says, I will call the one not my people, the second son, my people. And so I tie that into Judah, and the one not being loved, that would be the daughter Israel, and it will be in the place of which it was said to them, you are not my people, there they will be called sons of the living God. There'll be one. And I don't see that as happening yet. They're one, yeah, Israel is one, but they're certainly not walking with God in the way God would want Israel to walk with him, in my opinion. And so here it will be in the place of which it was said to them, "You are not my people, they shall be called sons of the living God," quoted by Paul. In verse 11, and the sons of Judah and the sons of Israel shall be gathered together. And now, they were sort of gathered together at the time of King Herod and Jesus, and they will appoint to themselves one sovereign, Herod possibly, and they shall ascend from out of the land, for great is the day of Jezreel. Now here again, this day of Jezreel, I believe, is a day of the Lord, Armageddon. We went through that in the eschatological timeline, and they shall ascend from out of the land afterwards of this battle of Armageddon in thousands of years in the future, where the last 8 or 9 chapters of Ezekiel shows a city on a mountain with the water going into the Lake of Galilee in the far future after the 1,000-year reign, I believe. And so here we have a portent of the far future. But the portents continue, and we will find out another one in chapter 2, the harlotry of the people. I hope you join us in the next chapter. Until then, God bless.